You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Holt.
Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Andy, what's up, brother?
Good, man. Back in studio, feeling the flow.
Do you smell that? I smell the air of innovation.
The air of innovation?
Yeah, you hear that?
Is that kind of like a new car smell when you buy a new car?
It is kind of like a new car smell.
Yeah?
It is, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I also have this other sound I'm going to play for you. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is innovation. That's the sound of footwear innovation.
That also sounds like my wife when she's trying to squeeze my neck and it keeps going in about something I've done.
That's every day.
That's making me very afraid right now. What was that?
This is the Nike Hyperadapt. I've talked incessantly about getting a pair of these since the show started, since they debuted, and I have a pair right here in my hand, and for the whole world to see. I'm very excited.
It's like a robo shoe, huh?
It is. It's awesome, isn't it?
It is very cool. Jasmine, what do you think?
I think they're cool. I can't wait to talk about them.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
What Matt didn't know was Matt was
I
out
have.
the other week, and Jasmine was actually walking around the office.
She
in
was.
Hyperadapt.
Yeah, my size 12s. Yeah.
Right, and my size 6.5.
We actually took packing tape from our Amazon boxes and stuffed the front of it. So we could
I
walk
believe
around
it. I believe it. No in our office. I believe that, man. But I can't tell you how excited I am, Andy, because we have Tiffany Beers, who is the lead innovator at Nike and on the Nike Hyperadapt and the 2015 Nike Mag. Tiffany, we can't thank you enough for coming on the program to talk about shoe innovation. Welcome to the Shoe In Show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cool. So you and I talked offline a little bit, and I was telling you my dad, who's been on the show, when we talked about shoes that veterans wear and those who in Vietnam, you know, and he was a Harrier pilot, and when I had him put these on a couple weeks ago, and he put them on, the look on his face was like a kid at Christmas. I had never seen my dad, he's 70, do that. And I just think the innovation in these types of shoes, and the Hyperadapt in particular, is unbelievable. And Tiffany, I know when these came out, you were all over the place in media, Wired magazine, the Today Show, all over the place. But want to kind of, before we go down that road, want to hear your shoe story and talk to us more about how you got to Nike, how you got involved in this process, and then maybe we can dive into more of kind of the rollout of the Hyperadapt and all the things that went into that.
Yeah, sure. So I got a plastics engineering technology degree from Penn State, and I grew up playing sports. I would have loved to dream to work at Nike, but I had never really thought it was a possibility for me. I didn't realize that plastics and shoes made so much sense. And so I found myself at Rubbermaid designing boxes.
Oh, boring.
I know, right? Food, trash, or storage. It was a box. And I decided, like, okay, let's shoot for the moon here. Like, where could I go work? And I applied online at Nike, and I got the job, actually. So I started as a airbag designer at Nike's IHM at the time. And I spent a year doing that. And then I got into Nike's Innovation Kitchen because they liked my plastics degree, I guess. And it's all history from there. I mean, I spent 13 years until last summer working in Nike's Innovation Kitchen.
That's so cool. And when people think about footwear and innovation, I think Nike's at the top of everyone's minds, and has been for so many years. And I've had a chance to be in the IHM, and I've not been in the kitchen, but I hear amazing things. And as you think through kind of your journey into the organization, and when I guess Tinker or someone else came to you and said, "Hey, we need to build a product that replicates or somehow latches on to the technology that it was in Back to the Future 2." What's going through your mind at that point? How do you think about critically think about approaching a project like that?
I mean, that was in like 2005, and I was so naive to how shoes were made. I was just like, sure, yeah, let's make this. Like, I had no idea how to do it at the time, and then I just slowly broke down each problem one at a time. Like, you know, what are we trying to do? How does it have to work? How does it have to work on the consumer? You know, what are they going to think of it? How are they going to interact with it? and just slowly break down each problem and start solving and move forward. It was a fascinating, very long, very, very long process.
I bet. And what was kind of the culmination? What was that one moment where you're like, you know what, I think I got it. I think we're well on our way. Or where were some of the downtimes where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off?
Oh man, there was tons of downtime. A majority of the time I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to pull this off. But I specifically remember one run where I was testing a pair of shoes and I was using it was a Nike watch at the time that could control your iPhone, and it could control the audio, so it could turn it up or turn it down. And I was using that to control the shoe on a wear test.
Cool.
And so I could tighten it and loosen it. Well, it started pouring in the middle of this run, and I was just like, oh my gosh, and I'm really far from home. And so I just used it to tighten up the laces, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. Like, that's so amazing. Like, on the fly, you can tighten it without touching it. It's amazing. So that was kind of when it was like, we got to do this. Like, this is performance. So
interesting. Yeah, because you would think, it'd just be kind of when you look at the shoe and you think about the movie, you just think, oh, this is some kind of like little kind of fad to it. But really, the application when you come up with a shoe like this can be used in all types of other shoe products. And I feel like sometimes innovation sparks innovation. I mean, what do you think about that as in terms of an idea? Once, and I'm sure many of us haven't been in the Nike kitchen, but I imagine it's kind of a free flow of ideas where people are talking to each other about different things they're working on, and it's spurring on other ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. You actually just see it every day in life. Like, when you have a conversation, you have an idea and someone builds upon it, right? Like, as long as you're open to other people building on your ideas, like it of course, it just magnifies it, makes it that much better. And yeah, for sure, this shoe came about, this technology came out of a lot of people building on a lot of people's ideas. That's for sure.
Let me ask you this. The original design from the 1985 movie, I believe I read in the Wired magazine profile when you guys were first rolling out the Hyperadapts, was that, there was wires connected to Michael J. Fox's shoes and they ran under the DeLorean and people were controlling it. Was there anything from the prior design that you used for the current design? Or was it just kind of all you were looking at was the silhouette and the colorways to match up when you were doing the mag for charity? And was any of that carried over to the Hyperadapt? What's kind of the relationship between the original pair from 85 and then the mags and then the Hyperadapts today?
Well, electronics have come so far since 1985 that the only thing I could say that was probably literally shared and a better version of it was the LEDs that are in there. There's LEDs in all the shoes. That's probably the only commonality. Everything else has been upgraded and improved based on current technology. So, there's not a lot. I mean, Michael J. Fox had 2 huge battery packs in his back pocket, right? And he had to flip those switches on to turn just the lights on in the shoe. I mean, you couldn't run auto laces with a battery back then. There was no way. Unless you carried unless you carried 2 car batteries. I mean, it wouldn't happen.
That's crazy. And so, what's really cool about that is that some people followed it, but you guys released a limited edition of the mags that went to charity to help raise money for Michael J. Fox's Parkinson's Foundation. I've seen, obviously, on your Instagram and some other things, kind of the year you had as you were rolling that out and you were rolling out the Hyperadapt. What was that? Was that kind of the height of the launch of this program? And is, kind of what are your thoughts on that year where you're really kind of running on all cylinders and unleashing this innovation on the industry that we hadn't seen yet?
Oh, that was a crazy year. I mean, in addition to that, I was running a children's charity for a racing group. So I way too much that year. That's why I'm taking a break now, right?
Right.
But no, it was amazing. Like, when you work so hard on a product, like, it's very scary when you launch it. For me, it was very scary because, like, okay, real people outside the berm are going to see this now.
Yeah.
Like, let's see what they really think and say, because, a lot of times, like, you just keep having the similar conversations internally, and it's like, oh my gosh, are they going to react same way.
Right.
Luckily, the reaction was way bigger. That people loved it. It was truly amazing, and I think they got the idea of the potential of the technology like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a ton of potential, and I think that right now, you know, the price points are kind of elevated, as we all know, because the new technology. My hope is that there'll continue to be innovation in the space so that it's even more accessible to more people, and just becomes kind of a way of life, like an eyelet or laces when they originally were launched or set out there. And Nike, you know, we were talking to a materials developer. And just looking at even the Nike print, where the fly print, where they're 3D printing up different components to go into the upper now, not just a midsole and an outsole technology. So I just feel like we're in this renaissance period for innovation and development. And so this is just one of all the work that you put into that is kind of the foundation for the continued improvement of technology within the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of brands doing a lot of cool things right now. Like it's pretty fascinating to watch. Like I love it because we all benefit from all these brands evolving their technologies. Like we get more comfortable products and longer wearing products, and I love it. It's great.
That's cool. Let me pivot to life after Nike. You now have a YouTube channel, and just recently you posted up kind of a grudge match between the Epic React and the Ultra Boost that is detailed and has already got 53,000 people have watched it. So you're starting to put yourself out there in kind of sneaker land, which we all like to hang out in. I love kind of the sneaker culture on social media. Tell me about your thinking about kind of the next step for you, Tiffany, and how you're going to interact in the industry and what your take is and what's your kind of your plan of action as you continue to engage with this industry we all love.
Well, I really don't have a plan right now. I started the YouTube channel because I wanted to explore all the brands and see all their best products and see all their technologies and kind of study them and show people how I looked at shoes through like a more technical perspective. And it's taken off a little bit more than I was thinking it would. So that's a little stressful, but it's been super fun and fascinating to look at these different shoes and kind of study them and then see people's reactions to my videos. That grudge match was so just planned to be kind of fun. They're both amazing shoes. They're amazing technologies. Like the whole point is they tied. Like I don't like a tie, right? So I forced myself to pick one, and people obviously didn't like that. But it's super cool to see where all the companies are going and evolving technology, and it just feels like the technology in shoes is moving so much faster now than it has in the last 2 years. And it's just super cool to see the quality and the different materials that are being used. And I feel like a kid in a candy store, honestly. Like it's super cool. I've never bought so many shoes in my life, and it's just wild right now. It's the Wild West for me a little bit.
Hey, Tiffany, let me ask you a little bit about a culture of innovation. We see a lot of new technologies that I feel like we're almost in a golden age of technology where things are becoming so efficient through technology, but also cost effective, where people can actually afford to purchase technology that they can integrate and use in different things throughout, a design process like 3D design or 3D printing to sales channels and different technologies that retailers may be using. But in terms of just kind of thought leadership on innovation, what should companies be thinking about when they come to innovation? And I ask that because some things you've said really kind of percolated in my mind. One of those was you almost have to have this this mindset of it's not just the critical thought to come up with the next idea, but it's allowing someone to add to it and not being offended that someone did that. Or not everyone can afford the amount of money that Nike puts into innovation or has like a kitchen where they can do it. What are some ideas that you think about when you can go to a company and say, okay, maybe you don't have the kind of capital to spend on this, but here's some ideas for how you can change your mind to think a little bit differently? What would you say to a company who is thinking about doing that but doesn't know where to start?
Oh man, I would say start with the technologies that you love. Like take knit, for example. These knit uppers that are on the Adidas shoes, Prime Knit, and then Nike's Fly Knit, like it's beautiful. The shaping, the fit, everything is so amazing. And you got to keep in mind that those vendors that are helping them, they also probably want to make more things, and patents and things run out. So you kind of just have to be a little savvy to when this technology like is changing and moving, and when you can get a hold of it. And it's interesting because you can have the same artist all use the exact same materials and come up with 10 different amazing things. It's really the same with shoe technology. I mean, shoes have been cut and sew with leather and synthetics and fabric mixed and woven since it started being made, right? And there's so many different varieties. So you can take the same technologies and spin it your own way and pull together a brand new innovation. Like, I just think there's so much opportunity to innovate, especially with all these new technologies coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's so true, and it's almost difficult to keep up with. I feel like every other day, one of the brands is dropping on us some really sexy YouTube video that's got things dipped in 3D printing and liquid this and Fly Knit that, and so to me, it's it just is such a cool time to be a sneakerhead. I grew up in the age, I was born in the late '70s, grew up in the age of the Air Jordan, and many of Tinker Hatfield's different designs, and just think back then, I thought these were like the coolest things ever, but it's been even so much more advanced since that time from folks like you. And that's why we think through kind of your next steps. You've put yourself out there. You talked about your videos blowing up and stuff. Like, that's got to be interesting, because even when you were unveiling the Hyperadapt, as the designer and as the innovator, stepping out into the public eye to put yourself out there, it's got to be a humbling experience, as you talked about. But there's got to be so much more. How do I say this? So much more kind of confirmation that what you're working on and what your talents are and your abilities have been kind of reconfirmed by how the marketplace has received you. And my hope is that as you do this, whatever the next phase is in your career, that you continue to kind of receive that feedback. Because as just in the few videos you've already posted, we've already seen a lot of great people know you, right? They know you because you were an innovator in an iconic shoe that just came out. So I think that's an awesome opportunity for you.
Yeah, and I think the part that sometimes even I forget about is I'm learning way more than, probably other people that are watching this happen. Like, I'm learning how consumers respond to certain ways shoes are presented. I'm learning, like, I am literally probably writing pages and pages of things that I'm learning every day from posting these videos and making them. And so it's pretty fascinating, like, to look at it through this lens of a consumer's eye. Like, how do you go out and buy a sneaker? Like, how do you find the best sneaker for you at the right price? Like, it's a mess.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's like, depends on what you're Googling when you're Googling it. Like, it's amazing. It's so hard to find. It's so hard to sift through everything.
It is. I've got to stay off my Twitter feed or the FDRA Twitter feed, because I see something and I freaking click on it, and next thing you know, I've spent $150, and 2 days later, I get this awesome pair of shoes, but it just keeps happening over and over again. And Andy rolls his eyes, and my wife looks at the credit card bill, and it's just, this is not, I mean, it's
and then
good
Jasmine's trying them out in the office when Matt's not there,
Exactly.
walking around in them.
So, I don't know. I mean, it's just a cool, there's so much selection out there right now. And I just think when I first walked into a Foot Locker when I was a kid, I always brought my dad, because he would be the one who'd fund the Jordan habit. And, they had the headboard that was signed above the register by your local athletes. Mm-hmm. And you had the color, and you sent the guy or the gal to the back to gather, the shoes, and they came out. Do they have your size? Would dad, would he foot the bill? And now it's just that was an event to go. And now that's constantly on my phone, right? Will I fit the bill? Will they have my size? And you have access to so many different colorways and choices. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing. And even like the shoes that sell out fast, like you literally have like 10 seconds to decide if you're buying this or not. And if you don't, it's gone. And even if you do, sometimes it's still, you don't get it. Like, yeah, there's a lot of pressure like from so many different areas on so many different products. It's amazing.
I know the sneaker app, Tiffany, it's like a heroin hit. I get in there and they're going to drop a new colorway on the Hyperadapt. I'm like, oh, I don't want to sell. That's a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, it's like this. Oh, I'll put my name in, and I probably won't get it. And then you get a notification. Oh, you won. You got it. Or, a lot of times I don't win the raffle. But these raffles and limited edition just drives kind of the fever that we're all feeling. And I think there's also, as you well know, the professional collector undercurrent that's altering the economics of the industry, whether it's bots or it's or people are just reselling to resell, the StockX's of the world. So that's just like a whole different thing that's driving how we purchase shoes. And I guess back to my point on the innovation side, my hope is that someday that this technology will be even more democratized and accessible across the industry, so that people can really have access to it.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd love more it to be. What I love is everyone to have shoes that they really love and they fit well and they're really comfortable. Yeah. Like I think people still a lot of times wear shoes that don't fit that well and are not that comfortable to them. And I'd love them to be able to try them all on and figure out what is best. And I don't know if people even do that anymore. I think they just buy them for looks or collectability,
Yeah.
That's true. Hey, Tiffany, before we flip it over to our famous segment where we're going to ask what you got, what you getting, I have a question for you about how our industry is transforming. I think for many, many years, we've heard a lot of analysts talk about Nike as a marketing company. It sells product, but inevitably they're so good at marketing what they have. So the product's good, yes, but the marketing has encouraged people, and the whole conversation you guys just had about, these limited releases and how they put it out and the channels and all that stuff and what they're doing. Do you think that big athletic companies are moving from being marketing companies to being technology companies? And what I mean by that is I'm looking at Flyprint and I'm looking at Carbon that Adidas has been using. New Balance is used a product that was spun off by an MIT graduate that looks at a runner's kind of pressure points on the shoe and then creates the midsole customized around those pressure points. And then in other points where there's not so much of a strike, it leaves those areas a little bit more open on the midsole. And then you add in the Nike Flyprint now, where you can take data from a person's foot if you 3D scan it, and you can take a look not at just where their strike is, but how their foot on the top is structured, and then how they run in it. And so I'm just wondering, as we collect more data, not on just people, how their shopping habits in stores are online and where they're looking, but their actual feet data. Are we transforming into technology companies that are using this data to make better shoes and moving beyond even what we've been in the past? What do you think about that?
That's a very complicated question.
Yeah,
I think.
It is.
My opinion, just from my experience, is like technology is amazing, right? And shoes have been traditionally made by hand, right? Very manual process. So they'd be silly not to look at some of this technology to improve it. The other thing is, when you're making a shoe, which was really a challenge for me, is people's feet are so different.
Right.
Like so very different. Even your right and your left foot is different from each other. How do you make one product that works for both of those and then millions of different ones? Like that was a thing that the Hyperadapt addressed. Like, it tightens to a comfort fit that's custom for each person. It's just sensing attention, right? And same thing like in my Boost versus React review. People feel those foams very differently.
Right.
Some people love Boost, some people don't. Some people love React, and other than brand loyalty, which are very, very strong, but people just feel things differently. And how do you, as these brands, I think that's the challenge. Can they use technology to figure out that equation on how to make everybody comfortable and have a good fit, even though their feet are so wildly different and their feeling is so different?
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Well, at this point, let's kick it.
Let's do it, man. What you got? What you gonna get?
What you gonna get? Jasmine, lead us off.
Okay, well, Tiffany, I want to ask you what you have on your feet right now, and what are you planning on getting in the future?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I actually have Ugg slippers on right now.
Right on.
I love it. She's honest. I love it.
What color?
They are gray.
Okay.
I went to Australia a year ago, and I was like, I gotta get some Uggs, right? So I'm gonna do a slipper review one of these days. So watch out for that. Very important. What I'm gonna get, I'm really interested in Reebok right now. I haven't had Reebok since I was a kid, and so I think I'm gonna get a pair of these liquid float ride. I mean, it sounds amazing. Like you're gonna be on liquid, but you're floating. Like I'm in. Like I want to know what that feels like.
Are these more like a athleisure kind of shoe?
I think they're a running shoe that Reebok has.
Okay.
I think they're for running. Yeah.
Have you seen they have a spring collection too that has like really bright colors, like a neon green, like a bright pink with in collaboration with Tiana Taylor. I don't know if you've seen those, but those are definitely from the 90s of when they were popular, when I used to wear them as a kid too.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are definitely hot. I don't know if I can rock those.
Me either. They're very bright. They're for a particular person, but they look cool.
Yeah.
Andy, brother, what you got?
What I got? I have the Boost. Adidas Boost. I've worn those for quite a bit, so I need to get a new pair of athletic.
Yep.
I got a pair of Asics a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
The gel. And they're actually super, super comfortable.
You like those?
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of support to it.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. And I'll probably just get another pair of those because I'm just traditional like that.
Yeah, I love it.
Buy what I like.
Good. Stick to what you like, what you know. Jasmine, what about you?
I have on a pair of All-Stars Converse on, and I think what I want to get might be a new pair of Adidas. I need some like walk around shoes for the summertime.
Or want?
Yeah.
Need.
Yeah, okay.
Shoes are a necessity. So I think I need something for, there's a lot of festivals that I'm going to this year, so I need some stuff that I can stay in for about 8-9 hours and my feet are not killing me.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I've been waiting a long time to say this. I got me some Hyperadapts, damn it, finally.
Way to go.
I've been saying it for so many shows on What You Got, What You Gonna Get. People are tired of it. My next pickup are probably the Nike Epic Reacts Flyknit. They look awesome. I love the Flyknit upper. The outsole looks so cushiony, and I'm trying to get back into running as things are thawing out. So that's probably my next go-to. The next time I'm in, we're going to do a shoe through in Portland, and I'll probably swing by the employee store and pick some up.
Right on. Right on. Well, folks, Tiffany, thank you so much.
This was awesome. Thanks for letting us geek out with you.
Yeah.
My pleasure. This was fun.
Awesome. Folks, this is Shoe In. We're covering all things of footwear. Today's focus was on innovation, and especially the Hyperadapt. And as always, you can find us on shoeinshow.com. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. If you have ideas for topics of shows you'd like to hear about or guests you'd like to hear from, let us know. We try to talk to a wide assortment of people in the industry as Matt continues to make his shoelaces he tightens and tightens them as he slowly wears down his battery. Until next time, folks, for Matt, Jasmine, I'm Andy Polk, and Shoe In is out.
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.